Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, and happy Valentine's Day. Board members are attending in person with the exception of Dr. Castor-Dental, who will not be joining us this evening. I also want to remind the public that the board members will not be engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during the meeting, so we can focus on the meeting itself, giving our full attention to the matters immediately before us. To my fellow board members, district staff, and members of the public, when speaking, please make sure your microphone is turned on and speak directly into it so our YouTube and Orange TV viewers can hear you clearly. Again, thank you so much for participating and or attending this evening's meeting. And we will begin with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite you to join us. And now for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We will begin with several recognitions. We are proclaiming February 17th, 2023 as National PTA Founders Day in Orange County Public Schools. And I'm going to call on Danny Gardner, District Coordinator for Agriculture, to come forward and introduce Ocoee High School student Melanie Smith, who will read the proclamation.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Board Chair Jacobs, Superintendent Dr. Vasquez, Deputy Superintendent, board members, Dr. Armbruster, thank you so much for letting us be here, and thank you so very much for your support of agriculture education. As was mentioned, February 18th through the 25th is National FFA Week. It's the week every year that encompasses George Washington's birthday. So George Washington was such a strong advocate for agriculture back in his day that they've always celebrated the National FFA Week during that week. FFA was just a couple quick fun facts, and I'm going to introduce Ms. Smith. But because of the U.S. Congress Smith-Hughes Act, agriculture education in secondary schools was established in 1917. And then 11 years later, the National FFA organization was established. So we're celebrating, this is the 95th year for agriculture education and FFA, well, 95th year for FFA, longer for the agriculture education. So we're excited. We thank you so much for your support of agriculture education and FFA and for this proclamation. It is my honor, we do have she is an Ocoee High School FFA member. She's the chapter president, the local chapter president at Ocoee High School, but she doesn't stop there. She's been involved in FFA since middle school. So as she's progressed through the FFA in agriculture education, she is serving this year as our Orange County FFA county president. And to go a step further, she's also serving as our District 7 FFA president, which encompasses Orange, Osceola, and Brevard County. She's a senior in high school, and we're also trying to prepare her for the possibility of running for state FFA office, which involves a screening process initially. And if she screens through to be a candidate, then she will run at our state FFA convention. And if elected, she takes a lag year from college to serve the FFA in Florida, because it is basically a full-time position. Advocate for agriculture and FFA across the state. So without further ado, to read the proclamation, I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Melanie Smith. And
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Smith, welcome.
Thank you. Orange County Public Schools Proclamation, National FFA Week, February 18th through the 25th, 2023. Whereas the FFA provides a strong foundation for American youth and the future of food, fiber, and the natural resources industry. And whereas FFA ensures a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing needs in the areas of agriculture, science, business, and technology. And whereas the FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, provides students with direction, purpose, and opportunities to succeed in the national organization and beyond. And whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, patriotism, and cooperation. And whereas FFA and Orange County Public Schools continually strives to make a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the School Board of Orange County, Florida, does hereby proclaim the week of February 18th through the 25th, 2023, as National FFA Week in Orange County Public Schools. Thank you.
Great job. And let me just take a moment to tell you how honored we are to have you here and excited we are for the future. And I am amazed that you would have to take a lag year, and that is a huge commitment. And that you're willing to do that shows your commitment to FFA. And so we're just proud of you.
Thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be surrounded by so many advocates for education because it is something that we promote so much in FFA. So thank you for believing in the youth and making us productive members of society.
Oh
and
my
I'm so
gosh.
happy to be here.
Absolutely. You have no idea how much we believe in our youth.
Thank you.
Yeah. I tell you, for all the people that I talk to that are worried about the direction we're going, I tell them, don't worry. This next generation is going to get it right. We have a lot of confidence in you and a lot of expectations, but you're going to live up to them. That's obvious. Thank you. In addition to proclaiming National FFA Week in Orange County Public Schools, we're also proclaiming February 17th, 2023 as National PTA Founders Day in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming February 23rd, 2023 as Digital Learning Day in Orange County Public Schools, something we've all learned a lot about in the last several years. And we're proclaiming February 27th through March 3rd, 2023 as Public Schools Week in Orange County Public Schools. And I believe that's our last proclamation. It is. And now I would like to ask Dr. Vasquez if we have any newly appointed administrators to present this evening.
No, Madam Chair, we do not.
All right, thank you. Before asking for adoption of the agenda, I do want to mention that we normally do not have the charter schools on our consent agenda. As of, I think, middle of last year, we changed our practice and put them under discussion. Today's agenda that's been published shows them on the consent agenda. So I want to take this opportunity to ask if any board members want any of the charter school items to be pulled for discussion. All right, seeing none, then we'll keep the agenda as is. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as advertised? A motion by Member Gallo, a second by Member Felder.
No, I have on the agenda, I have something I want to ask questions for number 13 on the agenda.
Okay. So we will motion, or would you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay, so you would like to pull on number 13 for discussion. All right. Then, no, we'll pull number 13 from the agenda, and with that change, is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
I just have a question from section number 13.
Which 13? 13 of 1,
13, approve construction related issues.
all of them?
No, the only one when I'm looking at page 1 and 2, that's it.
May I suggest, rather than amending the agenda, that before we take action on the agenda, that Member Felder ask her questions, and then we can move forward with the determination of whether or not we amend. Okay, well, go ahead, ask the question before we move forward.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Turn your mic on, baby.
Oh, thank you, sweeties. Thank you. Okay. Yes, first of all, let me just commend the district with their progress, because it has been difficult, again, with the pandemic, not getting materials in, and then trying to make sure that we follow along with the board's decision to be all-inclusive with women, women and minorities, and of course the veterans. But I just have a question. On page 1, One of the questions I have, a concern I guess I have, is sometimes it takes a long time. This is the Dillard Street Elementary School Multi-System Capital Renewal Project. And that's on page 1, right after the page, section of 13 on construction. It's not that we don't get the minority or women construction people in. We do that well. But what's happening is some of the smaller companies, sometimes they can't operate like some of the larger companies. They have maybe, I don't know how many people they have, but I'm just throwing a number out, maybe 30. And a company they're working up under may have 200. And so when we have already given them the okay they've won the bid, and then they can't start work, a lot of those smaller companies, they may lose their workers. And if they lose their workers, they have to go back again to try to apply for the bonding. And sometimes they don't, they may not have it. And so they, that's concerning. But just one question. This says, the interview results were based on criteria obtained in the request for qualifications evaluation form. I guess, superintendent and board members, my question is, what's taking so long with the getting the criteria? I mean, I know they have to go through a look, like they have to go through, this is on page, it says let me see, the BCCO and OFM approval, the documents, they have to get all that approved. And of course, nobody can work until that gets approved. And I'm just concerned, like, why is it taking so long? Because I know for a fact, construction company in my district, I was at the meeting, it was April of 2022. The company got the bid for the Roberto Clemente School. They got it back in April. It's now February, and they still haven't started work because they can't start work because they have not gotten the okay. So I don't know all the ins and outs, but I'm just wondering what's taking so long for these projects to get started. And with minority businesses, because they don't have a plethora of people working with them, I think as a district we need to be more expedient, at least, be more cognizant of trying to move things quicker. And I've always said this, and it is true. Education is the equalizer for all people across the board. That's one area of work that you can find some equity. So as we have such a vast district, and compared to other districts and cities, we do a lot. We are constantly building. Member Gould has talked about how many people move to Florida, Orlando in a week. And when they move, we got to build schools because they're going to build houses, going to build places. So we do our best as a district to be all-inclusive. But I guess, Superintendent, I guess that's something that you can talk with the Director of Facilities, is to find out what is taking so long to give them the okay to start work. And is the BCCO, are those the people, is that the reason we got the hold up? It's just kind of disheartening.
Okay, let me turn to Vice Chair Gallo, and then I'll go to the superintendent. Vice Chair Gallo, on this matter?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So your issue is the lag time. So we award a project and the small businesses are struggling because the lag time could be up to a year before they start that initial project. Is that?
I don't know whether it's up to a year, Member Gallo. I just know that they're worried because the workers that they have to
pay them,
and then they'll get other jobs, and then they get other jobs and they can't meet that insurance bond because they got to meet the bond to make sure that their insurances will cover them in case somebody gets hurt. But if they don't have the amount of workers that they need, the high bond is not going to come.
So have companies, small business companies, had to walk away from business that they were awarded due to this?
I don't know in the past if they've had to do it, but I know that there's concern that they may not have the workers if we keep waiting. And this is in, remember, Santa Monica's district, Roberto Clemente. That project, and Johanna Lopez was there, that project was awarded in April.
If I can
2022.
interject
Thank you.
for a minute, the superintendent is planning on meeting with some of our vendors
Okay.
that have complaints, and I think that would probably be the more efficient place to bring this up so there's greater clarity about what the problem is. But Dr. Vasquez.
Sorry. Yes, Madam Chair. Additionally, we could have our Chief Facility Officer get with both members, well, with any board member that has a question about the project with Roberto Clemente.
And I'm going to be meeting with them too.
Okay, so you're meeting with.
I think I have a meeting with Rory tomorrow, February
Okay,
15th.
so
we had a
I'm sure
deadline.
he'll be able to talk to you specifically about that.
Thank you.
So I just want to clarify. So this actually, the committee met on the 24th of January. It's coming to the
okay.
board now, February 14th. Your concern really is the board approves this, and then the time that it may take
So long.
for a right, and our chief facilities officer will be able to explain that too. I do know that sometimes there are delays with materials and supplies. I know we have spoken a little bit about, I believe it's the kitchen project.
Yeah,
that Roberto
and he's
yes.
been helping me with that, with the supplies. But this isn't supply. This is just giving them the okay to get started.
Okay.
That's I don't understand why there's a delay.
All right, he'll be able to explain that to you. And yes, Madam Chair, you're correct. I am going to be meeting with various vendors.
Okay. For clarification to the audience, the issue that Member Felder is talking about is not on the agenda today. The concern is with a project that was approved, and I think your wish is that it was on the agenda. You're talking about Roberto Clemente. It's not on.
No, I'm not talking
Yeah.
about Roberto Clemente. I'm just talking about, I
sorry.
mentioned that as an example.
Okay.
This is on the agenda because I'm looking in the agenda right here. So it's on the agenda. I just mentioned that as an example, Chair Jacobs, that it's taking too long.
Okay.
And people, minority contracting companies, they're not going to be able to survive like that.
Member Gallo.
Yes. So I know that we're having a work session in sometime in the very near future about procurement and small businesses and women-owned businesses, because I got my review on it. Could it be possible that we could add this into that discussion during the work session so that we could all vet it out?
I would like to do that.
We can. I
let's
just want to make sure
follow
that
protocol.
we understand. So we approve it. Then we still have to negotiate. As you know, sometimes negotiations break down, and then we have to go to the next highest rated individual. But we certainly can add it to that presentation so that the board is aware of what that process is, and they can certainly share what some of the delays may have been. It would be very helpful to know if there's specific ones that you're concerned about, so that we can look into those and make sure that we address those as part of the presentation.
Thank you. But the board's denial of any of these items under 13 would only further hurt the companies. So with that,
What do you mean? The board's denied. What are you talking about?
well, I mean, you wanted to potentially pull one of these off or ask questions. I just want to make sure for the rest of them. Okay, so I just wanted the rest of the board who might not understand that if we don't approve these,
We can
the
approve
process
it.
won't start. Okay,
I
so
just wanted to know.
is there a motion to approve the agenda as advertised?
So moved.
Motion approved by Vice Chair. Is there a second? Second by Member Byrd. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries with all member present voting in the affirmative. This is the public comment period. However, we have no public hearings. So at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. There's a motion by member.
I
I'm
second.
sorry. Gould. Oh. And second by member Salamanca. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present voting in the affirmative. Under non-consent, we have information item. Dr. Vasquez.
Having a hard time with the mic today. I do have a couple of items for my update. Since our last board meeting, we did have a visit from the Office of Safe Schools. They brought a team that met with district staff, and another team went out and visited several of our schools, both traditional schools and charter schools. The discussions were primarily around data reporting, which tied back to the original concerns in the report from the grand jury. We also spent a little bit of time on our compliance with Rule 6A. We were able to provide our documentation. Some items were voluminous in nature, and so we've been given 30 days to provide that to them. We did receive a letter, and the board was copied, the outcome of their visit and their findings. They're requesting information regarding referrals, and so we're gathering that information to be able to send to them. We are rather certain that we're going to be able to send that additional information prior to 30 days from receipt of the email. Additionally, we have had a lot of conversations about discipline. You know that the Discipline Task Force is going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks. And there was so much angst and so much misinformation surrounding discipline that I had a meeting a week ago today with all of the principals. They were asked to invite anyone that dealt with discipline so that they were able to hear directly from me my expectations surrounding discipline and safety in our schools. I highlighted two very specific points. That was, number one, that schools should have in place a school-wide positive behavior system that encompasses various factors, including expectations, teaching children how to, behave, how to deal with conflict, how they can access supports. And we have several schools that actually have an excellent system in place. We're using them as models. And our team is also starting to work with schools that don't have one in place so that they can move towards that. Additionally, I spoke very clearly about the referral process and my expectations that any student who violates the code of conduct, any student, we need to have a referral that's written, and we need to follow our process to ensure that we address those concerns. Lots of misconceptions, and I address that with the administrators, that we have quotas, that they can't write referrals because if they have too many referrals, there are going to be negative consequences to the school, that we cannot write referrals for students with disabilities. And again, these are things that came up in our town halls. And I was hopefully able to dispel that and ensure that we are documenting misbehavior, that we're being consistent in the implementation and enforcement of our code of conduct, and that we are all going to be held accountable for that consistency. Additionally, I reduced that to writing. That was sent out last Thursday through the Deputy Superintendent's memo. The memo directed all of the principals to send that document out to all of their staff members so that anyone at the school is aware of what those expectations are. I also did a short interview with Nancy Alvarez, and we have published that, so our families are also aware of the concerns we have with discipline, but more importantly, how they can help us to ensure we have safe schools. Additionally, we received a letter, I believe it was yesterday, regarding, actually, I believe it was Friday, the survey that was distributed as part of the CDC grant. I had an opportunity to speak with DOE. We were not aware that they did not want us to participate in that local survey. We did know that at the state level, that survey was discontinued. We had already indicated that we were not going to continue next year with this grant. They had offered us a one-year extension, and we declined upon hearing from DOE that we should not have been participating in that grant. And we confirmed that we did not receive notification of that, because if we did, I owned that. We had already distributed the survey, but we are not submitting those results to CDC. And we have, we did do a lot with this last survey based on suggestions we had. All of the parents whose child was going to take the survey were notified. All of the administrators had the questions for the survey. And we are not aware that any parent of a child who took the survey had any concerns. Regardless, we are not participating in that grant anymore. I have asked staff to put together what was part of that grant and what will be going away, so that you are aware. And we may need, if it's something the board wants to see continue as far as resources, supports that were received as a part of that grant, that we would look for dollars to be able to do that. I do want to also share that our own Dr. Williams was honored yesterday. Yes, Congressman Frost honored her for her work in our community, and we all know what an advocate she is for Orange County Public Schools, but that advocacy extends to our entire community. So I want to publicly congratulate her and thank her for all she's done. And finally, yesterday was my 100th day. I know. They were just wonderful in the morning with a surprise of greeting me, and it was just unexpected, and I'm very thankful and honored to serve in this role. Now that the 100 days are behind us, we are analyzing or finishing to analyze all of the information that we've collected, both through visits to the schools, data that we've analyzed, feedback that we've received. I'll be presenting the results to the board, and then there will be a public document that will be published for everyone to be able to see. We'll also present that information at one of the next strategic plans as part of a board meeting. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. We have some questions or comments. Let me begin with Member Farrant.
Okay, so bear with me because as I'm new, I'm trying to understand. When we just voted for the approval of consent agenda, if I had a question about one of them, is that something I should have asked then when Member Felder asked?
Before we approved the consent agenda, when I called for a motion for the consent agenda, the thing to do
I was thinking that you do it in
discussion.
each block. I didn't realize that it goes in the whole thing.
That's okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about what your question is, and we'll figure out if we need to go backwards.
Since we're not able to speak to board members privately, so but 15.3, the consent for travel. I'm just curious, what is the
what is the purpose of the trip that would, it's $4,000. And so I'm just trying to understand what is the benefit of going. If we're already going to like FSBA type meetings and like the Florida School Board meetings, is there something specific that is going to help?
It is an
It's, but COSA and it's the urban. Yes, please.
Member Gallo, you recognized.
Thank you. So the purpose, so you're asking about the purpose of COSPA.
Well, of the trip, yes, of going to it and
Okay.
the COSPA and all.
So earlier, about a year ago, FSBA was part of the National School Boards Association.
Okay.
And the FSBA, in light of some of the transgressions or the transactions of the National School Board Association, decided to dissolve a relationship with them because we didn't like, I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
the FBI, yes.
Yes.
So we decided that, and it was other things, it wasn't just that they didn't speak well for Florida, and several other states felt the same way. So we left. We left the National School Boards Association, and we were founding members of what is now COSPA, which is the Coalition of School
if
Board
you can
Members Association.
If you could remember the acronyms, like seriously, there's so many.
I know. So I think it's like that. And so there was 13 state founding. So the purpose of the meeting COSPA that I think is in April, and I know I'm attending, I believe Member Byrd is attending as well, is to basically just become better school board members. There's a lot of training sessions. There's a lot of breakout sessions. A lot of those deal with stuff that is in the news today, or issues like discipline, mental health, all those issues. And it's a great training opportunity for us to learn more about our job, about our profession, about what's happening out there, and to be trained on how best to make the best decisions we can possibly as school board members to do our job effectively.
Okay. Okay.
And Member Front, it may say in the item, it's several school board members that are going.
2. Yep.
Yep. Birding.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Anyone else other than
I think I'm going.
Member Byrd is? Okay. Yes. On this same issue? Yes. Member Byrd?
I
And
just
then we'll come
wanted to
back and get
kind
in
of
order.
piggyback on what Member Gallo said. I think the value also in a national conference or a national organization is getting to talk to school board members from other states too, because districts are experiencing many of the same things we experience, but sometimes it's really nice to be able to hear from members that we wouldn't normally hear from of FSBA from other states. So for me, that was really valuable.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Member Felder?
Thank you.
Yeah. It just seems so expensive.
Chairperson. I just wanted to comment on Superintendent Vasquez and tell her again, happy 100th. And I think that you are doing well in trying to bring this district in a cohesive way, because we are really seriously dealing with quite a bit of discipline issues, and I'm so happy. I heard that you had this meeting with your administrators, and I'm telling you from the grapevine, as we say in my neck of the woods, that some of them were just elated to hear you say, "What do you mean we can't write referrals? Who told you that?" And I know Member Byrd and I are very happy about that they can write. But I also wanted to say that I look forward to the town hall meetings and the task forces that we're putting together. And I want those parents that are listening, and school administrators and teachers, listen, we hear you. We hear you, and we are endeavoring, and we have endeavored to do something about the situation. Also, I want you to know that I often share with mothers that call me with some of their legitimate complaints. I say every woman on that board that I know of, they're mothers. I don't know whether board members Santa Monica is a mother yet, but I know the rest of you all are, and I'm a surrogate mother. I didn't have anybody biological, but anyway. So I want you to know that when that happens, you have a board of women, there's compassion, there's understanding. And I want you to know that we are doing our best, level best, to look at some of the policies that we put together and understand and know that we're going to revisit some policies that we have in place, and that we are not, I will say this again, as I always say whenever we talk about discipline, we're not sitting here wringing our hands talking about, oh, why, oh, me, oh, my. No, ma'am, that's not what we're doing. We are strategically coming up with some solutions that are workable, and I just want to tell you thank you, Superintendent. I know what you're doing, and I'm telling you, there are principals out there appreciate that, and I hope the teachers know that they're not up under some kind of whatever it is that's going on, but that you have a board of advocates. I need them to know that. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Gallo. Is this an old one? I'm sorry. All right. Member Byrd.
Thank you. Member Felder took many of the words right out of my mouth, but I do want to just take a moment to thank Dr. Vasquez for not only the discipline, the meeting that she had with the administrators and really drawing that firm line and clearly stating her expectations for them so that they where we want to go with discipline in our district, and everyone was on the same page. I think everyone really appreciated that. But also for her 44 town hall meetings. Let's give her a hand for that, because her schedule has been just, I'm sure your husband will be a little relieved, right? Maybe to have you home a little more in the evenings. But so there's so much more. There was so much more to that than just her going to hear people's thoughts, which was all amazing, all in itself. But I heard people tell me that they really feel like they're heard. Staff members, teachers, administrators, parents. They really connect with you when they meet you, which is one of the reasons why I wanted you in this role. They connect with you when they meet you, and you are the most amazing active listener. So I think it was extremely valuable for our culture within our district, for everyone to be able to see you in their schools and to see you listening to them and hearing their concerns. And I think the value in that is just tremendous. Everybody has, I actually had a woman stop me at a store like a few weeks ago, and after a town hall, and she said that she's a teacher, and she said to me that there is just a different, like an air, like she can breathe differently when she goes to work. And she feels like that is a direct result from you and from the positive culture that you're building within our district. So I just wanted to give a moment to tell you, thank you for that. Thank you for all those town halls. Thank you for what you're doing for discipline. And I agree with Member Felder that I love that you heard it. Because you heard it so much in the beginning of your town halls that you went ahead and jumped on it and decided that it was something that you didn't want to wait till your town halls were over for, and you've already got the task force put together. So I love that we're already doing that, and I will just go ahead, since I'm talking about it, plug that I'm having a roundtable discussion on community violence in my area at Whately Elementary next Monday night at 5:30. And we have, I think we're, poor Deborah. Deborah's so wonderful. I think we're up to around 40 something roundtable participants. The list just kept growing because people were reaching out and wanted to be a part of it. We have community leaders, we have law enforcement partners, we have our faith-based partners, we have youth organizations in the area, our administrators from our schools in the area, all coming together to sit down and start a discussion about what we're seeing in our area with the increased violence and threats being made to schools, with the increase in guns, the increase in fights, all of it. and the fact that many of these issues are starting in the community and are conflicts within the neighborhoods, and they're spilling over into our schools. And I sent a letter to all of these people and just said, we need your help. Schools can't do it all on our own. We need everyone working together. So I'm hopeful that this roundtable will start a conversation and get all of the players and stakeholders together to really realize that, as Member Felder said, we are actively looking for ways to make things better and to keep our kids safe and to keep our schools safe. So I appreciate you helping with that and being so supportive. And again, that's Monday. The public is welcome to come. We will be doing some thought exchanges there as well to get some information from the group. So that's at 5:30 at Wheatley. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Vice Chair Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to echo what some of my fellow board members have said about the 100 days. We're so happy to have you here. And I know that when you wrote that plan, you weren't thinking that you were going to be going solo from like day one. I think you thought you were going to have a little bit of backup for a while. And so it was an aggressive plan. And so not only did you implement it perfectly, but you did it while you were running the 4th largest school district in the country. So to say that you're tired is probably a total understatement. Because you were everywhere and you did a lot in that 100 days, and we're so thankful for it. And I'll just echo what Member Byrd said. I'm hearing the same things that she is when I'm out in my community about how refreshing it is, how it feels different, and that we are following through on what we promised, which was a positive culture for our employees. And you always have open door, because because I'm always texting you and I'm calling you, and you always take my calls and you listen to me. And so I appreciate everything that you're doing, not only for the students of Orange County Public Schools, but the staff, for the board, for everything. All your hard work has not gone unnoticed. Some of the things that you implemented have been wonderful. Mondays with Maria, we've already discussed. But happy 100th day. May your next 100th day, because it feels like a year, it feels like forever, not be as busy. And I do, just one other thing, I'm having a district advisory council in District 1 tomorrow too. And one of the things we'll be discussing is the discipline, along with teacher shortages and a few of the things that I put on the list. I do this as a continuation of something that Joey Cadle started when she was a school board for District 1, and it got put on hiatus for a little bit due to the COVID, but we're back in action. We're going to meet in person and hybrid. So we'll be doing that tomorrow at 4:30 at Camelot Elementary School. But I know next Thursday we will be doing, I think it's our first discipline task force. And so I was curious as to if we had the list of members yet, because I haven't seen a complete list.
We do have a list, and we were waiting for final confirmation on some of the members. So we'll send that out to you tomorrow so you can have it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And again, congratulations.
So I am queued up. I want to echo everything that the Vice Chair said and Member Byrd said. And I'm not sure that I certainly couldn't have said it better, but I have heard the same comments, and even from some people who were skeptical of our decision when we made it. And there's nothing like converting a skeptic. So you've done a phenomenal job. I think the next 100 days, ideally, you would be in a far-off country that got no cell phone reception. But that's not going to happen. And so I want you to know that you've got a board that supports you and believes in you. And we'll do everything that we can to make sure you're successful, because your success is our students' success. And with that, let me turn to Member Front.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks as well, because I do feel like I feel like you really have just listened. You've been very open. I've heard so many from my district who have said the same thing, that the town halls really meant the world to them, that you came, took the time out of your day and sat with them and listened to their concerns. You asked the questions, and took the time to hear their voices. So it could have been parents or teachers or staff, and even the ones that I was able to go to and the staff that would come to me and just say, wow, this really means a lot. I feel like my voice is finally being heard. So thank you for that. And, as a parent myself and now a school board member, I feel the same. I feel that when I bring something to you, I feel that you listen to me, and, all of us, that anything that we bring, you listen. You might implement some, or some you put on your little notes, but I appreciate it, and I thank you for that, and good luck in the next 100 days. Yes.
Thank you, Member Farrar. Member Gould.
Well, I think it's very appropriate that the 100 days falls on Valentine's Day. You came from the West, so I knew. But West is best.
She was in the East first.
That was such a short stint. But I can't. I would be completely repeating my colleagues if I said everything again that they had just said. But your faith, your strength, and your loving nature are with us at a time when we need it most, because today is about the act of kindness and love, right? So, and we need, as a community, as a nation, and as a world, to put that first and foremost. And I think having you in the lead of our school system shows that it's not about being a pushover, but it is about coming from that place of love to put structure in place that makes sense. And I have no doubt that not only your work and the team's work, but the work of the colleagues who are up here and just talking about what we're all doing together in the community is gonna get us to that place. And your leadership and partnership are key to that. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Gould. Member Salamanca.
I was just looking something up. I think we got elected maybe 90 days ago versus 100. And if it feels like a year for me, I can't even imagine for you. But, I definitely echo everything everyone has said here. But, from a new school board member's perspective, thank you for your patience, your collaboration, your support, your transparency. I think every time we talk and meet, you try to make things as efficient and transparent for us to all move in a direction with equal information and understanding of how we can move best together as a board. And so I really appreciate that. I know that District 2 is your favorite, but I know you drive down Narcoossee every day, so.
Okay, sure.
But, it's, I feel lucky that maybe our first year in this wild diocese together, and I look forward to working together on so many different things. But every school I've been to has said the word about what they feel like being heard. In such hard times, I think it was the perfect way for us to meet the community, teachers and parents there on the ground. And I think all of us as school members try to do that as much as we can, but it means a lot for the district itself sometimes to spend that time there, and it makes a huge difference. So it's appreciated.
Thank you, Member Salamanca. Okay, we have one more item to discuss. The Citizens Commission for Children has a seat on it that is reserved for an Orange County School Board member. Member Cobert held that seat in the past. I'm going to open the floor for nominations, but I will take the privilege of nominating Member Felder.
I think our new board members would probably love that position.
Is there another nomination?
Wait a minute.
You
how
can turn
many
it down.
meetings They have in there? It's virtual? Well, I need someone to come behind me, like an alternate.
Yes, an alternate would be a good idea.
Who
If
would be my alternate?
Would you like to nominate well, first of all, are there other nominations?
Can we get a sense of what it is for the new board members?
Please.
I'm embarrassed. I should know because it's a county board. Dr. Vasquez, do you know?
Sure. It is a group consisting of various members within the community. The county awards dollars to various agencies to support our children and our families. And so the board helps ensure that those dollars are being used for the purpose that they were given. And additionally, they also seek to find other ways to be able to support the group. They don't meet monthly, and you can call in. Several members do, but it's a very worthwhile committee because it's touching our kids here. A lot of them are in District 5.
They are. And I sat on the board years ago. I sat on the board, and I used to have to leave Dr. Phillips to come to the meetings. And everything that Superintendent Vasquez said, it really does try to benefit the children, and a lot of the children in my district, they do benefit. So, you want to be my alternate?
Your mic is not on, but that's okay.
Oh.
I just got a signal in the back. It doesn't. You're good. You're good.
So, okay, I forget this mic.
I know.
And everybody hears my voice. I'm sorry. So, if you would like to be the alternate, I think that would be good because you have that little fight. You are, Alicia.
I'm happy to be alternate.
Yes,
Member
yes.
Felder.
Thank you. Okay, guys, you all just railroaded me in that madness. But okay, yes.
All right. Do we have I need to call a vote on, Member Gould seconded it. Member Gould seconded it. Member Gallo thirded it. All in favor of the motion or the nomination of Member Felder to serve on the Citizens Commission for Children for Orange County?
Aye.
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 Well, that's good. It passes with all members present voting in favor. I was quite concerned it was going to be all members except for you. And as an alternate, we have a nomination for Member Salamanca. The nomination was made by Member Felder, and it was seconded by?
I'll second.
Seconded again by Vice Chair Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with all members present. And last question I want to ask, because we have no committee reports. Are there any policy level issues that the board would like to agenda for subsequent either meetings or work sessions? And let me call on Member Felder.
Thank you, Chair Jacobs. I'd like for us to look at the policy regarding our relationship with I guess principals, administrators, or just in terms of clarity for what's really governance and what's operational, because I think both Member Byrd and I have gotten calls from parents and, administration regarding the discipline. But here again, what I do believe is once we review some of our policy regarding discipline, and so forth, some of that might get clear. But in my meetings, or I should say in conferences that I've attended, the boards, they operate a little different than what we do. So, from what I'm understanding that we do. We are one of the most progressive boards, from what I can see, as they seem to other board members in the state of Florida seem to look at Orange County in terms of leadership and what are y'all doing, and so, but I'd like to have a revisit on that policy, just as superintendent had to have that meeting to get some clarity as it relates to referrals and things of that nature. I think that as a board, I would like to get some clarity and some discussion as it relates to our position and the policy that we said we have adopted or stated as it relates to governance and operational. I need that discussion.
All right, thank you, Member Felder. I think that is, I don't remember the policy number, but it's the policy that deals with board governance and relationships.
Policy B.
Okay, and Mr. Palmerini, I see you punched in.
Yeah, so policy B is, we just did policy B in, I think it was June or July, forgive me for not remembering the dates, and we had an extensive discussion on that, and this is where we landed with respect to the board, that if the board had an operational issue, they would bring that to the superintendent. I also, in talking about this, if we were to amend that policy that way, we also have a contractual relationship with Dr. Vasquez in her contract regarding what she controls as far as operations and that. So depending on if we did anything with the policy, it could require contractual amendment with Dr. Vasquez's contract as well.
I just need some discussion of that policy. You
Got it.
understand? I need some clarity, because I think if I get some clarity, some of the questions that members of my constituency have and have asked me, I can be clear in some of the things that I physically see and physically know. And again, let me just say that all of the discussions that I've had with Dr. Vasquez in terms of my concerns, she's been very transparent and been able to help me understand some things. But again, so that I need that discussion again because of what has transpired in the last month or so in the schools in my district.
Okay.
Right, so I need that discussion. I need it.
All right, let me go to
Thanks.
Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the policy refers board members to have discussions with, if there's issues or concerns, to bring them to the superintendent or a cabinet level person. That individual then is tasked with resolving your issues. The policy does not allow for board members then to go directly to staff that's not at the cabinet level. And if you'll recall, we had conversations about that. Individuals at the cabinet level are the ones that are best know policy, best know who can be able to help. Now, they may point you or set up a meeting with other staff members. But for a board member to just go and say, speak to someone that is not on cabinet without going through the cabinet member is what the policy doesn't allow.
Dr. Vasquez, may I make a suggestion? At the next, not necessarily the next work session, but a work session that we could tack this on as a discussion at the end of, so we can talk about it and hear what Member Felder's specific issues are. Okay, well, why don't we do that? I would prefer to do it as part of a work session, at the end of a work session than a board meeting, because you never know how board meetings are going to go. So
I'm saying at a work session.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, all right. So Dr. Vasquez, are you, Dr. Vasquez and I together set the agenda. So are you comfortable with that?
I am. I was going to recommend we have a planning meeting, that if you wanted to discuss it there,
Absolutely.
that may be another opportunity.
That's
sooner.
a perfect time.
That was board member
Perfect.
suggestion.
Okay, that's a perfect idea. Member Gould.
I'm good.
I do have something I would like to bring back, and that is our prototype schools.
What?
And I've talked about it before, our prototype schools. We have new board members on who haven't had the privilege that I've had, it being intimate with the past prototype and a little bit familiar with the prototype we're going into. But we're not done building lots and lots and lots of schools. And I think before we get too far down a path, we just need everybody to understand what the prototype is, because I don't think we switched this one for, I don't even know how many years. It was a lot. and the impacts of that, right? Because we can think of all these great things, but when you want equity, if we put a brand new widget in the new prototypes, we have to think about how we're going to retroactively give access to that same widget to every one of the schools that we have. So, but I do think that is worth everyone fully understanding, because construction's in our short, medium, and long-term view.
Okay, we will agenda that for a discussion. A couple of things that I would like, and these are policy related, and they both have to do with the code of conduct. And that is I'd like to have a discussion around clear backpacks. And I think it's going to probably require a little research about how school districts that have used them and how effective they have been. The other issue, and I mentioned this before, is our policy around cell phones being confiscated and not given back at the end of the day. And I firmly believe in consequences. I am just concerned in today's world whether that consequence impacts the safety of our students. And so we are going to have a work session, I believe, on the code of conduct. And I think that would be an opportunity to have a fuller discussion on that, because I know there's pros and cons, but I just wanted to put that in front of everybody so that nobody's surprised if we have that conversation. And I think that might possibly close us out. Anybody else?
6:09. Hold on.
Or what?
John.
Mr. Palmerini?
Oh, you're going to ruin it.
No,
So he's got 1 minute left.
I'll try to be as quick as I can. Just wanted to touch base with you guys briefly on that, and this dovetails perfectly. We are having a work session on the Code of Student Conduct Policy. You all should have received a red line today from Sarah Korn in our office. She will be setting up meetings with all of you to discuss the proposed changes. The vast majority of those, just to make you all aware, is the change to the Assessor rule from January 17th, 2023. We will be updating our code of conduct to reflect the Assessor codes and the Assessor definitions. That's the vast majority of the changes. There's a couple different changes beyond that are also going to be addressed. Also talked with the superintendent this afternoon. This work session is obviously meant to encompass those new changes in the Assessor rule, but we will still go through the normal process that we go through with respect to the code of conduct in making changes going for the 23-24 year. We just wanted to do this portion now because of the change in the rule. So there will be a couple other policies that we will have there. The student progression plan, a policy EBB dealing with our safety protocols. We got something out of our visit from the Office of Safe Schools that we want to add to that policy. We also have the 3 closed sessions on litigation thereafter that Ms. Enval announced at our previous meeting. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And just personally, just wanted to give my thanks for the last meeting where you all were so kind. My family made it a point to say how kind you all were. And I wanted to say thank you very much again. I appreciate it.
I hate to even say anything. I'd like to end on that note. But Mr. Palmerini, I do have a request. On the red line version that you sent us, when you mentioned that most of it is related to the rule, I think it would be helpful for the board if we identified separately what's related to the rule and what's not. And you could do it color-coded and let us know. Oh, there's only, yeah. Okay, well, just in case for those of us who might not remember it, you good with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other policy that you're going to be sending, I think you're going to be sending us another policy.
Yeah, there's 2 additional policies: student progression plan and the safety policy EBB.
Okay. And so if there's any that aren't required by the rule, just identify it with a different color.
I can have them do that.
Super. It might be easy for Member Gallo, but it'll be easier for me.
Only because
Member Gallo's I know. Well, you're like the guru in this arena. Okay?
I did have my meeting today, so
Oh, okay. Well, just legislatively, you're the go-to board member for legislative stuff. So, all right. Any further business come before the board? All right. We almost got out of here at 6:12, but but for me, at 6:10. It's actually not 6:12. It's more like, what is it? 6:09. 6:09. We got out before 6:10. Meeting adjourned. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I decided to try something funky. Thank you. And thank you for serving on this.